Hello, welcome to the start of this reading vlog. So this vlog is going to be a little bit different than just like a regular weekly reading vlog. I am giving Miss Colleen Hoover one last shot. This book, Verity, has been on multiple TBRs recently. I've read two books by Colleen Hoover. I did not like either of them. In fact, one of them was a one star, absolutely hated. If I had a paper copy, I probably would have burned it. Disgrace of a book. Honestly, I don't even know if that was like a sentence, but that's how I feel about it. Um, and so I have figured I own a bunch of Colleen Hoover ebooks. During COVID, she had made a bunch of her books free, which was a stand-up thing to do. Like that's cool. She wanted to give people something to do. She figured they could read, so she made a bunch of her ebooks free. One of them was Verity, I believe. I did not buy this. One of them was Too Late, which was the one-star dumpster fire book, and November 9, I believe I had read before that. But those are the three. And basically, what I'm trying to say through this ramble is this is Colleen Hoover's last shot for me. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to try to go in with an open mind. That being said, I'm already like I'm convincing myself that I'm going to like this, even though my whole brain is like, you're going to hate this book. I can't even say it's different than the others I read, because Too Late was kind of, well, it wasn't really like a romantic suspense, but I don't know what that was. If you've never read Too Late by Colleen Hoover, first of all, don't. But second of all, it was a very dark romance. Not, I guess if you read dark romance, it might not be very dark, but like lots of trigger warnings. Things that didn't need to happen happening in the epilogue for no reason. Like, I understand that it was a pet project for her. If you don't know, that book was something she released like as a serial. When she had writer's block for her main works, she would work on Too Late, and then everybody begged her to publish it as a book, so she did, but should have stayed in the drafts. But now I'm just rambling. So anyway, the point of this video, this vlog, is I'm going to read Verity. And I'm going to do what I have decided to call a one-day read on Verity. So basically, I have today off. I already had an appointment this morning, and now I have nothing else going on for the rest of the day. There are things I could do, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to dedicate one full day to reading Verity. I'm going to read as much of it as I can until I either DNF, decide I want to continue, or finish it. Ideally, I would finish it today, but I don't know how long it is. I think it's 300 something pages, and that would be a lot for me to read in one day. But yeah, I'll check in with you along the way. This will have spoilers. It won't be like a play-by-play, but if I really want to talk about anything, I will be spoiling things. So if you haven't read this book and you want to, maybe don't watch this video until you have. But yeah, so I'm going to be reading as much of Verity as I can today. The goal is to finish it or DNF it, but if I absolutely love it and I haven't finished it by the end of today, I'll just check in with you when I do finish it. That's the plan for today. We'll see how this goes. Cooper he had surgery, and he is in his cone of shame because the onesie did not work for him, the donut did not work for him, but he is chewing on the inside of the cone. So if you hear that, I'm sorry. He only has to wear it for, I think, 2 more days. Fingers crossed. It looks like his wound is healing well, but I guess we'll find out in a couple days. We'll see how he's doing. But yeah, I'm rambling. I'm putting off starting this book. But I opened up the ebook on my Kindle, and it turns out at some point I had read 7% of this, which was only to chapter 2. But I don't remember that, so I'm just going to start from the beginning. I have a big ol' Dunkin', and I am going to get into this. So, wish me luck. I will check in when I have something to say, and that's going to be the vlog. Okay, so like I said, I don't remember reading this, but I had made a note about this line. His eyes match the tie he just shoved in his pocket. Chartreuse. Chartreuse is not an eye color. It's like lime green. So while I'm editing this video, I did look it up, and I guess there are, like, if you technically look up, like, the Pantone of chartreuse, it's kind of more of, like, a greenish color, but when I think of chartreuse personally, I think of this, like, super bright lime green color that is going to be on the screen. What? And so the beginning of this book, it starts with our main character. I don't even know her name, but she witnesses a man die. His head gets run over by a truck, and she gets covered in blood. So this stranger takes her into the bathroom, like, of a nearby coffee shop and gives her his shirt and whatever. But I'm just like, she's like, oh, back to when I was 10 years old. And I'm like, okay, why does every single one of Colleen Hoover's characters have a tragic backstory? It seems to be a thing. Um, and this guy is just like, oh, I've seen worse, unfortunately. Like, worse than seeing someone run over and their head pop like a grape. That's in quotes. Um, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the love interest, and considering this is like a romantic suspense or whatever, he's probably a little crazy, is my guess. Oh, his daughter died. Okay. And her name is Lowen. So we have Lowen and Jeremy. And the thing that Jeremy has seen that's worse is that he pulled his 8-year-old daughter's body out of a lake 5 months ago. Okay. Okay. I swear I won't be stopping this frequently the whole time. But I'm on page 8, and they're talking about tragedies, and he's like, okay, what happened to you? And she's like, oh, mine seems so insignificant compared to his. And then she says, my mother died last week. And I put a note when I first read this, and my note just says, knowing Colleen, Jeremy killed her. Which, true, fair. I guess we'll see. But it's actually kind of funny rereading something that I've already read that I don't remember, because my notes are making me laugh at least. My other one for the chartreuse eyes, the note was, is he a demon? But okay, let me keep reading. Okay, so her mom died from cancer, and then I made another note because there's a part where she's saying, like, oh, I made my statement to the police, but I don't know how much use it is because I didn't actually see the accident. But I'm like, didn't you try to grab the guy? Like, you definitely would have seen it. But then the other part is, uh, she said that a coffee would help her feel better and morphine would be even better. But unfortunately, she said, not unfortunately, she said, it's a shame I was too shaken to remember to hide it. And then my note is, are you an addict? So is she like an unreliable narrator? I I don't know so far. But yeah, my whole thing with this is I feel like she's just not shocked enough. If I had witnessed somebody die like that, I would be traumatized. And she's just like, well, I'm a little out of it, like a little bit shocked. I'm like, no, that's traumatic. So I'm like, what happened to her in the past that this is not traumatic for her? Because I guess we'll find out. If this book ruins Vermont for me, I'm going to be pissed. Vermont is my favorite state, and apparently this guy lives in Vermont. So what is happening? I am on page 33, 11% through, and he is the husband of a famous writer who, because of reasons, can't finish writing the series that she was working on, and he is looking for someone to finish it for her, and that's what the meeting is about. Like, the guy obviously is the guy that the meeting was with, and he is telling her to sign the contract and she can go to their house and stay there as long as it takes her to look through his wife's office and, like, at the documents that she has and, like, outlines and stuff that she has written for this series that he wants Lowen to finish. And he lives in Vermont. So this book is messed up, I've heard. So if they mess up Vermont for me, I'm gonna be pissed. In all seriousness, though, like, besides kind of a mild curiosity about what's going to happen, so far I am just kind of meh about it. Clearly, it's still set up, but I'm like 11% into the book, and they're still just in basically like this first or second scene. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But it better not ruin Vermont for me. I love Vermont. Okay, so I am 83 pages in, 26%. So I'm a quarter of the way through. And okay, I will say that Colleen Hoover's writing is definitely very compelling. Is compelling the word? It's very readable. Like, I'm reading pretty quickly for, my slow reading self. It's now 12:15, so I've been reading for like 2 hours and 15 minutes and I'm a quarter of the way through the book. Again, I don't know if I'm going to finish it today just because I am a slow reader, but I haven't felt the need to take a break really. And like even though nothing is happening, I feel like I'm also not getting bored. So it is very like compulsively readable. I could definitely see myself just sitting and like reading this in one sitting if I was a little bit of a faster reader. But I just nothing is happening so far. So she went to this house in Vermont and she's working in Verity's office. Verity is the Jeremy's wife, who's in like a coma or whatever. Well, she's not really in a coma. I feel like she's awake, but I don't know, whatever. Um, and so she's working through her office looking for like the notes for these books that she's supposed to be writing. And she could only find like manuscripts and notes for the books that are already published. But then she found an autobiography that it looks like Verity was writing. And it looks like chapters of that autobiography are interspersed throughout like the current day timeline. And so she just read the first chapter, which was about how Verity met Jeremy. And then Verity was eating with Jeremy, and she was like, I have to get back to the manuscript. So I'm interested to see what ends up being in the manuscript, because in the beginning of the manuscript, she was like, if I had never like looked, what was it? I didn't highlight it or anything, but it was like basically like if I hadn't caught his eye, like would my life have ended this way or something. Um and in it she says like, oh, obviously it hasn't ended yet because I wouldn't be writing this, but she had written it after the first of their daughters had died. So I'm curious. And I will say I don't hate anything yet. Like when I read November 9, I figured out what was going to happen. I feel like pretty early on, I was like, I know what's going to happen here and I don't like it. Or at least I knew kind of the direction that it was going to go. And then with Too Late, I immediately hated it. And I basically hate read the entire book. So that was that experience. This one, there's nothing particularly offensive yet. I don't like, what am I trying to say? I feel like I'm trying to say I'm bored without actually being bored. Like, I just feel like nothing is happening, but again, it's like compulsively readable, so I still want to just keep reading. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it amps up anywhere. Like, hopefully, it gets a little bit more interesting. But I'm not hating it. A quarter of the way through, I am not hating it. So I think I'm actually going to stop now and have some lunch. And then after lunch, I will pick it back up and read a little bit more, see how it's going. So I don't like Verity. Am I supposed to? Like, am I supposed to like Verity? Because she's a little weird. Like, she's a little nuts. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, we're probably not supposed to like Jeremy, right? Because we're supposed to think he's suspicious, and Lowen is kind of leading us to believe that maybe he had something to do with Verity's car accident, their daughter's deaths, whatever, which might be true, but like the flashbacks or like the autobiography parts that Verity wrote are just making me dislike Verity. Like, I don't love Jeremy either, but I really don't like Verity. I just don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Like, I know that Colleen Hoover's all about like the twists and everything, but like, I don't know. I'm 28% through. I'm going to keep reading. I'm starting to get a little bored. Page 100, 31%. So is Verity faking her injuries? Because first she like was looking at Lowen, and now Crew is the sun is waving at his window and she sees the curtain flutter. Like, is Verity faking, like, are they all faking her injuries? Is that like the twisted game we're playing here? I will say, unlike November 9, where I kind of guessed what was going to happen, I feel like there's not a lot to go on here. Like, not a lot is happening, so there's nothing to really gauge what a twist is going to be at the end. And I'm trying not to like overthink it. I'm just trying to go with it, read it as fast as I can, and not make too many guesses as to what's going to happen. I don't know if that makes for a fun vlog to watch, because I feel like half the fun of like these types of vlogs is watching the person like guess at what's going to happen and be completely wrong. But I really can't even begin to guess what's going to happen. And when it comes to this book, I don't think I ever even necessarily read a synopsis. And if I did, I forgot what it was, like the synopsis of the book. So I don't even know if I'm supposed to know more than I actually do. But yeah, 31% in. I still feel like not much is really happening plot wise. But like I said, I'm very suspicious of Verity. I don't particularly like the character, and I'm wondering if she's not even sick. Like, is it a twisted game that her and Jeremy are playing? Okay, only a couple pages later, checking in again. Yet another reason not to like Verity. She seems to be fat phobic, and there's this whole section where she's talking about disordered eating, and I'm not a fan of that. So, yeah, I really don't like her. I don't know. I don't know. But if I want to eat a whole box of cookies after a hard day, I'm going to do it. And my body's not a machine. Uh, yeah, that just like kind of came out of nowhere, and it's a little weird. Didn't like it. Like, what? What? Like, what? What? Okay, you know what? I hope Jeremy did something to her. Like, what? I know that's a thing. Like, some women get pregnant and like they don't have a maternal bone in their body. And that's not it's not a bad thing necessarily. I personally am not a mother. I've never given birth, so I can't really say much. Like, I can't say anything from personal experience. But like, I do know that there are people that are like, I don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to have kids. But like, the narcissism mixed with that, and the fact that she actually tried like multiple times in different ways just because she didn't want him to love their children more than he loved her. Like, I hope he caused that car wreck, because Verity's all kinds of messed up. And I'm not enjoying myself anymore. Like, it's not boring, but I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not having a good time. This is the level of like screwed up that I don't enjoy, which is like, Which is to say, this is why I don't like Colleen Hoover, because she has to take it just like a little bit too far. Well, or a lot too far, depending. But like, she has to push that limit and that shock factor. And like, that's what her books kind of rely on. And I don't like it. It's not really a writing device that works for me. So while I was kind of feeling about this book, now it's more like, okay, I'm actively not having a good time, and I'm only 34% through. I'm gonna keep going for the sake of the vlog, but just know I'm not having a good time anymore. Well, I wasn't having a good time to begin with, but now I'm really not having a good time. Okay, so it is now 4 o'clock. There's no chance I'm finishing this book today. I think that was a little ambitious, but I'm on page 171. I'm officially halfway through, 51% to be exact, and I'm still not having a good time. Like, there's nothing standout about this book. Now we're starting to get into a little bit of. So, there hasn't actually been any cheating, but we're getting like cheating vibes, which is also one of my least favorite things. So, I'm not having a good time, like I said. But also, like I said, the writing is compelling. I do want to keep reading just to see what's going on here. But I hate it. I hate everyone. I hate Verity. I really don't like Lowen. I almost forgot her name for a second because it's just a stupid name. Jeremy is like a blank sheet of paper, like a bare wall. He's just kind of meh. Like there's nothing interesting about him. Um, I guess he's a good dad, but other than that, like, I don't know. The only thing it has going for it is that it's compulsively readable, so I want to just like keep reading. But other than that, Miss Hoover is just not for me. She's not. But like I said, I'm on chapter 13. I'm going to keep reading. I have a little while until my husband gets home, but I mean, after that, it's going to be kind of like making dinner, winding down. So I don't know how much farther I'm going to get, but we'll see. We'll keep trying. What? Is Colleen Hoover okay? Like, is she okay? What am I even reading? Like, people told me that this book was messed up, but like, this is not what I expected. I thought it was going to be messed up with adults, not messed up with like trying to kill children. What? So this will be my official last update for tonight. I think I am on page 201, which is 59% through. I don't have much else to say, and honestly, I'm just super disturbed by this whole thing. Not like disturbed, but it's just not what I expected. And I'm getting the same feelings that I got when I read Too Late, which I absolutely hated, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So I just feel like my reading experience is not going to be great, but I'm 60% through, so I might as well finish it. I will probably just power through. It won't be a 1 day read, but it will be quicker than most of my times to finish books. Sentence. It'll be quicker than I usually finish my books because I don't normally just sit down and try my best to read as much as I can in 1 day. So, yeah, I'll get back to you with closing thoughts, I guess. They probably won't be good. 60% through, and I can tell you they probably won't be good. Um Honestly, it's so weird because I'm like I want to DNF it, but I don't want to DNF it, but I want to DNF it, but I'm not going to DNF it. Like, have you ever felt that way about a book? Or is that just a me thing? I'm not really sure, but you know. So I will get back to you when I finish this book. I'm very proud of myself, though, that I read 200 pages in one day. Usually I don't do that, so that's pretty awesome. Too bad it had to be this book. Yes. Okay, so I am now 73% through Verity. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but I've been thinking all along that Verity might have been faking her illness. And I still don't know if that's true. I'm assuming it is from what's happening right now. But I mean, of course, I don't really know until I read the end of the book. But also, there's a scene in this book where I feel like Miss Colleen Hoover was being very self aware. At one point, Lowen was thinking about, like, oh, her inspiration, like, where'd she get her inspiration for these villain characters as her main characters and stuff? And Lowen is kind of like, oh, maybe she didn't need inspiration because she was writing about herself because she's psychotic. I was just sitting there reading it. I was thinking to myself, like, is Colleen Hoover just being self-aware? And if she is, she should definitely never have kids. And if she already has kids, they should be concerned. And they should definitely never read this book. Yeah, so this is definitely going to be the last book I ever read by Colleen Hoover. Just so we're clear, I'm going to finish it because I'm 75% through already, or 73% through already. But I'm done. Like, she always just takes things a little too far for my taste. And I feel like the only reason people like her is for that kind of shock value. And, good stories matter more to me than being shocked by what I'm reading. So she's definitely not the author for me. I definitely will not be reading any more of her books, and I will be getting rid of the ones that I haven't read. But I will do one final check-in with this video when I finish this book. I don't know if it'll be tonight or tomorrow morning or tomorrow at some point, but yeah, this is it for me and Colleen. I can tell you that much for sure. I finished it. It took me a little bit over a day, but I'm still gonna probably call this video a one-day read because it was close enough. I dislike this book a lot. This will, like I think I said in my last clip, be my last Colleen Hoover book. I just can't. So basically, I already didn't like it, and then it decided to include something else that I don't like, which is a pregnancy trope. And then at the end, the whole thing got the 180 switcheroo of, oh, I found this mysterious letter after we killed your wife, saying that the whole manuscript that described all these horrible things was just a writing device. I hate that so much. I hate it. It's messy. Not messy, it's lazy. Like, it's like you can't figure out another way to end your book, so you're just like, oh, just kidding, all those horrible things were fake. But guess what? All those horrible things still came out of your mind, Colleen Hoover. So I still think if you have children, somebody needs to contact CPS because that's messed up. This whole book, again, you guys told me that it was a ride and it was really messed up, but like, it's messed up in a way that's not what I expected, and I really did not appreciate it. Like, messed up love stories, I get. Messed up things involving adults, I get. Messed up things involving killing your own children, even if it was as a writing exercise. I don't do it. And I'm not triggered by it necessarily. I just didn't like reading it. Like, it didn't send me into any kind of spiral. I don't have kids of my own, so I didn't, like, attach it to my own, parental mindset or anything, but I just didn't like it. I hated it. I am giving it 2 stars, because I gave Too Late 1 star, and this book did not give me quite as much of, like, a visceral reaction as Too Late did. This one was more just like, I'm not having a good time. There's no redeeming qualities about this book. I don't like it. But it is compulsively readable. Like, I understand why people read her books. I get it. I do get it. But they're just not for me. I can't. They're not for me at all. Yeah, so that's definitely it for me and Colleen Hoover. Like, 3 strikes and you're out. One was a book where the love interest burned down her house and caused her to have burn scars on like 75% of her body or something. 2 was 3 essay scenes consecutively in an epilogue where everything was supposedly wrapped up. So just to like fetishize assault, I guess. And then whatever the hell this was. So yeah, definitely Colleen Hoover is not the author for me. I can say that. So this was my last Colleen Hoover book. Thank you for going on this journey with me. If you enjoyed this kind of like one-day read, even though it was a little bit longer than a day, type of video, definitely let me know and I will do more in the future. But yeah, that's it from me today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.